Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, the weather today it's decent. It's fairly warm for this time of the year. They're saying that we might eventually get into real winter soon, but so far it looks to be pretty nice and fairly warm, unseasonably warm for this time of the year. But I think they're calling for a light, slight, weak La Nina this winter. So for us, we might get moderate snow showers and winter, but we'll see. It's always something as a homesteader, as someone that is trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. Weather's actually pretty important. You should learn how to read the weather as best as possible. And of course, with the manipulation going on, that's becoming more and more difficult. The mainstream media seems to be dying at a faster rate after Trump's election. There's reports of how the vast majority of Americans have kind of turned away from mainstream media. You know, your CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and channels kind of like that. You know, if it wasn't for the older voting bloc, they probably wouldn't exist at all. And this just is kind of following the same pattern as other things, seemingly, because of the recent election. And I would think that there's going to be some pushback. We're not really seeing that yet. You know, there's all this talk of, kicking out 20 million illegals and doing away with this department or that policy, or putting someone in the charge of FBI or Attorney General, or all these different positions that are in a lot of ways they're going to shut them down. I mean, for instance, Robert Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr., is apparently going to be the head of the HHS, and there are already a lot of employees saying that they're going to quit if he gets put in. And while I am not actually a very big fan of RFK Jr., if he does in this position what he says he will do, I'll be very happy about that. He wants to stop using seed oils and high fructose corn syrups, and shift the ingredients of American foods to things that are healthier. I mean, those of you that are aware and pay attention to this kind of stuff, if you take the average food item off of a grocery shelf, the ingredients are horrible. And they're not necessary. You can take that very same item that was made in, say, Europe, and compare the ingredients, and they're vastly different. It's almost like, America is just the guinea pig to see, or maybe it's purposeful to destroy health here in America. But either way, he claims he's going to radically change things there, and a lot of people may be quitting. So there's, I've talked about this. There's more and more pushback, or at least there will be. There almost has to be, if these radical changes take place in the way that Trump and his people say that they will. There's going to be some pushback, and that pushback could cause a lot of disruptions to the system, and so we have to be prepared for that. In Iran, it's possible that the supreme leader of Iran is no longer alive. There's been rumors the last couple of days that he's either gone into a coma, or he went into a coma and died, or he just died. And at first, I think a lot of people thought they were just rumors, but there's more and more talk of this. And while nothing has yet been confirmed, it does appear that there's probably something going on, because there's more and more rumors coming out that he's dead, or that he's in a coma. This could dramatically change things. Depending on who replaces him, it could definitely change the course of what happens between Iran and Israel. Someone more extreme, someone less extreme. So that one will be interesting to see. Also, Zelensky is upset that Donald Trump thinks that he's going to get in there and shut down the war and cause peace at Ukraine's expense. And so Zelensky says that Donald Trump is not the president of Ukraine. He doesn't speak for Ukraine. And so we'll see what happens there. Donald Trump did say that he'd stop the war in 24 hours. And so I guess we'll wait and see if he does stop it quickly. There's a lot of things going on, and we have to constantly be prepared for that. And one of the things that it's not just preppers or homesteaders or Bible believers or patriots or whatever. It's just humans, human behavior. One of the things that is common in human behavior is procrastination. It's one of those things that, like, not everyone procrastinates, but I think in their natural state, everyone probably procrastinates. I think those that aren't procrastinators, it's because they've overcome it through discipline. And for prepared homesteaders, procrastination can be a killer. There can be things in your plan to do. Maybe it's to produce a certain food, or to utilize a certain part of your homestead. You've got to build a fence or build a building or take a class, or develop a certain skill, acquire more preps in a certain area. And a lot of times we sit and we think about these things, and we convince ourselves that this is what we need to do, but then actually motivating ourselves to do them sometimes is difficult. And I can tell you that just about everyone that I know that are prepared homesteaders, at some point in time, they procrastinate about something. And I'm not saying all procrastination is evil and dark and bad, but I'm just saying it's something that we have to be aware of. As simple as it is, and we all realize this, we have to sometimes do a better job at motivating ourselves. And I think that this is also a good argument for community, because community can help motivate us. Part of it is just peer pressure. You have your group of preppers, and you have one or two over here that's doing an excellent job, and they're really getting it done, and you're like, man, I need to step up my game. They're getting a lot done. I'm making me look bad. I think it's also part of that family brotherhood spirit that should exist within a community, where we're constantly encouraging each other. That's very biblical, to encourage one another. And it's something that we all have to be aware of, because procrastinating about getting something done or about doing something, too many times in history, that's ended up very bad. And I think we all know that. I mean, I'm stating the obvious here. But again, sometimes we need some constructive criticism and some motivation. And so I want you just as much as I want myself. I mean, I'm pointing the finger at myself too. That we need to be more consciously aware of that when it comes to making ourselves ready for what's coming, whether it's mentally, physically, or spiritually. We need to make ourselves ready for these things, and push ourselves, and not procrastinate, and be consciously aware of when we do procrastinate about things. And push things off, and convince ourselves that, well, we can do that tomorrow. We can do that another time. I can worry about that later. That can wait. That area can wait. And then we keep telling ourselves that it can wait, and to the point that it's just not getting done. And everything can start falling apart, and it's not done. And that was one part of your plan that was going to help you out, that was going to make things better for you, and you never got it done. We need to be pushing ourselves more. And I know that most of you are probably sitting there thinking, well, I've been pushing myself quite a lot. I look around in my community, in our Preparedness Homestead Torah community, and I see the vast majority, everyone in our community has really been pushing themselves for quite a while to get things more ready, working on their homesteads, developing that. It's hard to develop a homestead into a fairly self-sufficient, enterprise, because even farming doesn't even cut it, because farming has gotten so far away from self-sufficiency. It's just this monocrop thing, and living out in the country doesn't necessarily do it either, because the vast majority of people that actually live out in the country, they live pretty much the same lifestyle as someone in the city. They're not dependent upon their land. They just have land. And so developing a self-sufficient piece of property that capable of reproducing and surviving off of is not easy. It's just not. And so people are really pushing themselves. But I'm telling you, you can't allow that procrastination to slip in, because it will slow you down. And then now that things seem to be cooling off because of the election, things don't seem to be as intense. It doesn't seem like that the bad guys are coming to get us tomorrow or today, that maybe that's further down the road. And so we have a little time, right? We have a little time to kind of take a break, get a little sleep for once, breathe deeply, and have a little relaxation. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but we can't allow ourselves to continually putting things off and convincing ourselves that, well, now that Trump's in office, now that Elon Musk is going to fix all the government inefficiency, and RFK Jr. is going to fix the food system, and all this kind of stuff, that we just give up, or that we push it off to the point that it's just never getting done. We can't do that. So I want to encourage you, as I'm encouraging myself in saying this, is push ourselves to fight against procrastinating, because it's something that will destroy you if you allow it, because you end up just not doing anything, because you've convinced yourself you'll eventually get it done. So keep motivated, folks. Keep pushing forward. And I'm telling you, this is not the time to give up. It looks cool and calm, and it looks like everything's going in the right direction, and maybe a lot of things are going in the right direction. But even if they are, there is going to be this pushback, and we're not yet, at least I'm not yet convinced that we are going in the right direction. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.